Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. So, Lakers just got their heads smacked off their shoulders by the Milwaukee Bucks. And when you look at the box score, honestly, do you know what you see? Nothing you would expect to see. When you talk about the Lakers in the paint, they actually scored more in the paint than the Bucks did on ours. We got in their paint more so than they got in ours. We had about 15 turnovers to like their 11 or something like that. They shot extremely well, obviously, as we talked about in the previous video at halftime. But the real difference literally was Giannis. He just only missed 3 shots on the whole night, had 44 points, 8 assists, and a bunch of boards. He was just that man tonight. He was honestly just that man tonight, y'all. You know, I said at the beginning of the game I didn't think that he was going to get 50 tonight because I didn't figure he would play the whole game. But the Lakers made such a push in that fourth quarter, which I got to give them credit for. Some of that good shooting from the second quarter kind of carried over into the second half to a degree, and we were able to put some fight into it. Some good things out of THT in terms of stealing the ball. Stanley Johnson gave us some good stuff today. Austin Reeves played hard, got to the rack like I was hoping he would. Anthony Davis was fantastic blocking shots, and even though he had a quiet first couple of quarters, I didn't really see him really exert himself early when we were getting blown out. In the comeback, he was really helpful. Bron had a good night for the most part, even though he was just kind of getting pushed. You know, he was pushing his weight around, but you could clearly see Giannis was a stronger player tonight. And it doesn't happen very often, but Bron just got outdueled, man. It wasn't deeper than that. Middleton did exactly what he was supposed to do. You're happy to see. Well, you're not happy to see, but he played well, and if you're Bucks, you're happy to see that. Drew Holiday held up his end of the bargain, of course. Bobby Portis really jumped off the screen tonight, just shooting the ball so well. That's the thing. Like, we just did not guard the perimeter well. I can't tell you how many three-point shots we gave up in the corner, uncontested in that first half. It was just demoralizing to no end. And some of that carried over into the third quarter. They just continued to shoot the ball very well. Malik Monk, he did some very nice things tonight, including getting to the rack real strong at the end of the game. But we just could not break ground against that team through 3 quarters. We were only able to really do something kind of around the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter. We pushed it back down to, I believe, 10 with Bron off the floor. We had a nice little lineup on the floor, and then coach put Bron back in, and what I saw was just defensive lapses. Him giving too much space to shooters once again. I mean, things that weren't happening when he wasn't on the floor kind of started happening when he was. It was just a rough night for the team, man. I don't want to say it was Bron's fault in the end or no stupid crap like that, but, I mean, that's when the run stopped. That's when the run stopped. We were really pushing, and then the coach decided to shuffle the lineup a little bit, put THT in, I believe, for Stanley Johnson or something like that, had Austin Reeves. He just did a few little moves that just kind of gave the Bucks what they needed to kind of just stop the bleeding for themselves. I mean, all in all, the Lakers made this a respectable game in comparison to what I thought it was going to be when you were watching in the first half. I mean, the score wasn't great at the end, obviously, but we were down by 30 at one point, and it cut it all the way to, if I'm not mistaken, 10. So that was a really good push. I'm not going to front that. We shot well from the field, got in their paint, like I said. Bench Russell Westbrook down the stretch, which I thought was a good decision. I mean, you just got to do that. But I just honestly don't think we could really talk about this game without just expressing how ridiculously great Giannis Antetokounmpo was tonight. I mean, he's just that guy, man. As I said in the pregame video, that this is the pinnacle player in the league right now. There are a lot of fantastic players in this league. Joel Embiid, obviously Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, even though he's struggling. DeMar DeRozan is stepping out, having a fantastic season. You think about various players just randomly. Devin Booker and Chris Paul are doing great things. But I'm telling you, numero uno is that dude that just dropped 44 and 8 on us right now. He is the guy right now. In 2022, I gotta say, that's the guy, man. He is not playing any games and he doesn't get tired at all. He only missed 3 shots tonight. Just 3 shots. It's just, I mean, when a guy is playing that well, he's coming off a championship, he's in the best shape of any athlete probably in the game right now. You just gotta take your hat off and say, yo, we got outclassed by a greater team. We got outclassed by a guy who's really on top of his game, and I don't feel comfortable saying a greater player because of what all LeBron has done, but we got outclassed tonight, man. It is what it is. Bron was huffing and puffing, and Giannis was still flying and dunking, and that's just a testament to where he's at in his career. He's young, Giannis is in his prime, and he's already a human specimen as he is. So I thought we could have did a better job, maybe doubling him. I thought that maybe we could have did a much better job on Bobby Portis, maybe respecting size a little bit. But what were we going to do? Put in DJ? I mean, we didn't even have Dwight playing tonight, so that's where things go wrong. When you start the game with the lineup that we did, Trevor Ariza directly matched up on Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're already telling everybody in the arena what to expect. And it's exactly what it was. The other team understood, like, yo, this is Giannis' night. They're not going to put anybody on him that's going to even remotely stop him from doing anything. We weren't effectively able to double him. For whatever reason, anytime we doubled, it just seemed like they left shooters open. It's just an impossible situation. And, Frank ain't going to do nothing to help you. So it's like, that's what we saw. I mean, look, we kind of played a decent game for who we are, right? Just put it out there. Like some of the teams that we would have had troubles with normally, if we would play like this on the offensive end against those teams, we probably have more success than we've had. I think we had one of the better offensive nights we've had all season. To be honest with you, that second quarter might have been the best shooting quarter we've had all year. But we had nothing to show for it because as good as we were shooting the ball, was as inept as we were defending the ball. And they just, like I said in the previous video, it was at one point we were shooting 86%, and then you look over and they were shooting 92%. So that's the kind of night they were having. And it just did not let up. Giannis's game has grown so much. Not only is he doing the things that we remember him doing 2 years ago, dunking the ball and all of that, but now he's got, he's worked different types of moves into his game now. Now this dude has a fadeaway, he's got a back to the basket turnaround jumper move it's stuff that he never was doing 3 years ago. It's stuff that he's showing us he has now. So his game is continuing to grow. I mean, I just don't know when this is going to end. Giannis could do this. He can continue doing this, man. I would not at all be surprised if they win the championship. I will say this, though. They are going to have to boost their bench. Because even though they got a lot of production out of the big three that they have, they didn't really get a whole lot out of their bench outside of Bobby Portis. Granted, they were missing some guys tonight. I did not see, of course, as I told you guys, Brook Lopez, and I didn't see Jordan Noir out there either. But they didn't really need a whole lot from everybody else tonight. And I just think that could bite them in the backside come playoff time. If they suffer any injuries or any setbacks in their roster with their starting lineup, you're going to see them fall off significantly. And they're just like us, just like the Nets, because of the way their cap situation is structured. They can't really afford to not be healthy. But if they stay healthy, I mean, there's no reason why they can't continue their dominance, Because what we saw tonight was absolute flexing. They flexed on our big three. Yeah, our guys didn't have nothing for them tonight. And we played pretty well, too. We got good production out of LeBron, good production out of AD. Malik Monk put up his numbers, you know what I'm saying? We got a better night out of Austin Reeves than we've had. This is the best game he's had in weeks. He was able to hit some shots, even though I thought there was a play down the stretch when we were trying to come back. He kind of had a little step back three. When you got AD, Malik Monk, and LeBron James on the floor, I need Austin Reeves to make sure those guys get the ball in that situation. You had an open shot, but you got to know that ball got to go to those guys. I don't want you to be hesitant and be afraid to shoot, But I also don't want you to think that it's probably the best move for you to be doing stuff like that, especially when the momentum's on our side and we're trying to come back into the game down the stretch. That was a killer mistake by Austin Reeves, and coach pulled him out the game, rightfully so. You just can't have rookies doing stuff like that, even if they're good rookies and smart rookies. That was not a smart play, and it really cut us down. It killed us, honestly. But that wasn't the only thing. You know, we could have shot a lot better from the free throw line. Could have shot a lot better from three. As I always say, we didn't value our possessions as much as we should have. The Russell Westbrook and his issues, even though he was doing some good things in the first half to a degree, we saw some bad Russell Westbrook. Some of the shot selection was bad. Some of the shot mechanics were bad as usual. Stuff that you just expect to see from him at this point is things that you saw, and I thought it was a good decision not to play him in the fourth quarter. And if that's going to be the theme, I'm going to support that until he shows us that he can figure himself out. The pace that he plays with, the only person who can seem to keep up with that pace is Bron. You know, that herky-jerky, real quick movement. I mean, we did a lot of stuff out there. And see, the thing about the Bucks is when you do that, they're very comfortable at that pace. You know, they're one of the few teams that I've seen that when you try to run it down their throats, they can run it down your throat even faster. So, like all that stuff we were doing, Russell Westbrook trying to speed down the lane and get the ball to Bron and dunk the ball. By the time we got that ball through the hoop, they were already on the other end scoring a three-point shot likely. For every two we shot, they just had a corner three from either him or, Bobby Portis or, who was, I can't think of my man's name, Pat Connaughton. He was down there shooting the ball very well for that team. They got, I think, 12 points out of Grayson Allen. So that was really all they needed. They didn't need a whole lot from everybody else the way the big three was playing down there for them. So, this game was supremely demoralizing as a whole. I mean, you like what you saw to end certain quarters. I think, if I'm not mistaken, as I told you guys, at the end of the second quarter, we kind of pulled ourselves some momentum going into the halftime. And I think like I said, in the fourth quarter, we really had a push and made a hell of a run there. But, I mean, overall, if you just zoom out and just look at this game, it was about as demoralizing as any loss we've had. You know, we've had more embarrassing losses, I'm not going to lie. Of course, we've had more embarrassing losses. But this one just you really felt helpless to what it was you were going up against. You knew you didn't have enough. And you just felt like you were getting beat up all night long. And they were just punishing us real bad, you know. But the fight that we showed in the face of that punishment was admirable. I saw some good fight out of guys. Stanley Johnson and his effort in the moments that he had tonight was fantastic. Even though coach continued to put him in situations where he had to guard people like Bobby Portis and Giannis Antetokounmpo, which was just asinine, but you expect that from Frank. But all in all, I really like what I saw from him tonight. He was really good. And as I always say, I always point this out, teams love to play off him when he shoots the ball, and he always burns them. And we saw a play like that tonight. I think it was in the first quarter where they played off of him and he shot him down. So keep that up, man. I love that about him. He does not allow that to deter him from shooting the basketball. If you're going to play off of him like he's Russell Westbrook or Ben Simmons or something, he's going to shoot that shot. And most of the time, he's going to knock it down. One day they're going to respect that. He's not a good shooter, but he's good in those situations, and that is very key. So yeah, Malik Monk, like I said, I love what I saw from him for the most part, even though some of his shots weren't really going. He didn't have the three-point shot like he had it previous game, but I love the energy that he showed us in that fourth quarter when we were trying to come back, man. That drive to the lane and dunking on people, he wasn't deferring to nobody. He's found his confidence, and he seems like he believes himself to be a leading scorer, and I love where he's headed in his career in terms of his confidence, being able to manage, as I talked about Russell Westbrook, and I felt like the lights were too bright for Russell Westbrook this year playing for the Lakers. This ain't the environment for him. Complete opposite for Malik Monk. Malik Monk is best when the lights are bright. He seems to show up more so when it's a big-time game on national television. So this is somebody I think the Lakers would be very, very wise to create cap space and pay, because he's only going to get better. His game is improving, and I'm not sure what his ceiling is, but I'm willing to bet it's a lot higher than what Charlotte thought it was when they let him walk. So He's one of the few players that's able to thrive in this situation and thrive under this coach, and that counts for a whole lot in my eyes. I think we should do everything we can to keep him. As I said, THT, he did some good things on the defensive end. He got some key steals tonight, as did AD. I love what I saw from those guys. AD was really helpful in that big-time stretch coming back. I just like what I saw defensively from those guys. They just seem to be in the right place at the right time to catch the ball and start the fast break. I like the effort. I'd be lying, if I told you that I didn't like the effort that I saw from those guys tonight in the face of just complete demoralization. Boos all over the place. Our guys held their composure and gave the Bucks all they could give them. And that is admirable. I must say, that was admirable. It was nothing to hang their heads about in terms of going up against a team they know they should beat, going up against the pinnacle player in the league, and giving it what they had after being basically demoralized, Most teams mail it in that situation, especially when the starters get pulled, Bron gets off the court. You don't usually see the second unit guys continue to play as hard as they did when the other team hadn't removed their starters. They were doing that with good players on the floor for the Bucks. So, I love what I saw in that way, and that deserves a lot of credit. But ultimately, man, we are in a bad spot. As a fan, you feel completely demoralized. You feel like there's really no hope for this roster. And I encourage you guys to check out the video that I said, that I did previous at the halftime. That halftime video really summed up how I feel about just this game as a whole. That didn't really change too much, I figured the Lakers would lose this game at the beginning. That was not a shock to me. And I said if the Bucks came out and took us seriously, they'd probably beat us by 25, So I felt like they came out with the right amount of urgency. They played like they knew Bron was out there. They played like they knew AD was out there. And they deserved to win tonight, They came with it, man. Bobby Portis, one of my favorite players. He reminded me why he's one of my favorite players. The dude don't play no games. When it's time to shoot the ball, he's knocking shots down. He ain't scared of nothing. He ain't hesitating about nothing. And when it's time to get inside on the inside, he doesn't mind jamming. He doesn't mind providing a great deal of physicality, and that physicality was very necessary. And kind of keep his team in a position to really beat us up. So between him and Giannis and then Middleton and Holiday, they was just too much for us, man. They were just too much for our roster. What can I say? And that's what it was. I didn't think this was the worst Frank Vogel job I had ever seen. On all the games that I always talk about Frank Vogel messing up, he did some things that I hated tonight as usual, but less of those things than I'm used to seeing, I think is what I would say. Some of the things that he did weren't so bad. I thought in that fourth quarter, last time I complained about him not putting LeBron in the game as it pertains to us having a big-time comeback, and it was only Austin Reeves really pushing, and I just felt like he didn't do a good job of helping that unit by putting starters on the floor. Well, tonight, I kind of felt like the opposite. So I don't know if I should really be complaining about that, because he kind of did what I wanted him to do, but just not in this game. I think this was the game where you let those who had pushed you back into it continue what it is that they were doing while you rest your starters. And I just felt like once he put Bron back in, it was almost like the Bucks woke back up. It was like, oh, Bron's back in the game. Let's put, you know what I mean? It was like that kind of thing. And Bron, he gave up a big time three to Bobby Portis because he was just playing off of him too much. He gave him way too much space. And that's what I felt like we were doing wrong tonight. They really burned us in that corner three, because we were always cheating with Bron to try to supplement the lack of size in the paint. And I keep telling everybody, because we don't respect size, it gives us a disadvantage in situations such as these. Yeah, you may lose some things when you have spacing issues with big guys on the floor who can't shoot and all that. But the flip side is what you give up when you don't have that size at all. And this is what happens. Now, Bron feels like he has to play off the perimeter. Sometimes we get lost on rotations and stuff like that.
and you got guys like Austin Reeves and Stanley Johnson trying to guard guys like Giannis and Bobby Portis, it just puts you at a disadvantage entirely. And that's why I want us to get some size down there at the deadline that can help us with that, because we've seen this issue all year long. We don't have enough solid defensive-minded players on this team to be running small ball. It just doesn't work. When your guards don't defend, you can't get away with not having any size out there, because Braun has to play off too much, and it just leaves the perimeter open. And even sometimes, even if he does cheat and goes into the paint and reads it right, they still score over him and he ends up getting a foul or something like that. It's just, when you run four guards and a center out there, or 4 guards and a power forward out there, you had better make sure that you're going up against size that you can match up with. Because if you don't, you get done like we did tonight. Giannis missed 3 shots. He took like 20 of them. And that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Like, if we would have had some size out there, at least we could have kind of did a little something to try to offset that. But that's just not what happened out there. Our roster worked really against us tonight. I think that was the main thing. Like, you really saw the deficiencies in our roster, and you saw exactly how far away we are from competing for a championship. We're very far from that, And so, yeah, excuse me, guys. This is just a new low, I think, in terms of where we want to be and helping us understand the reality of just how far we are from that. So that's what I gotta say, man. That's what it was. Congratulations to the Bucks. Obviously, even though I don't usually like to give stars the game ball, I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo was so incredible tonight. You got to give it to him. He was the difference. If he wasn't out there, I think this game probably went into overtime or something. But because he was out there, we never had a chance, and he made sure of it, man. Flexed like a real Hall of Famer should. So I give him his credit. It's all about him tonight, man. It's all about him. And so, you think you get to relax? Nope. Guess who we got next? Steph. That's right. The Golden State Warriors will be here in a couple of days, ready to do probably the same thing to us that the Bucks just did to us. And I know Steph's been going through a little bit of a struggle, but just like we always say, if you're struggling, all you really need is a date with the Lakers. Get you right back on track every time. So I'd expect to see a lot of that going on. Clay and Steph, they're going to shoot our heads off. We already know. So it's going to happen. Just wait on it. Anyway, yeah, man, this is a very, very defeated Laker fan right here. I have no hope. All of the trade rumors that I'm hearing are just trades that I think, in my opinion, might actually make us worse. I've already talked a lot about it in that video. You'll check that out. But I just don't like any of the rumors I'm hearing. And that's unfortunate, because there are some things out there that we could do. I did hear something that gave me a little bit of hope. Little bit. I saw a trade rumor where Mo Bamba might be available to us. I don't know what we'd have to do to get him, but I would definitely do it. I don't know what it takes, but I'd give up any combination of players on this team to get Mo Bamba right now. I kid you not. If it's THT and Kendrick Nunn, send their bus to Orlando right now. And I also heard that we're interested in, of course, another player in Orlando who we've been eyeing for like 3 years now, Terrence Ross. So maybe we can strike a deal with that team. Swap THT and Kendrick Nunn and whatever the heck else they want, and bring those 2 players back. I think that would give us a little bit of a boost for at least our future. If they couldn't help us right away, they could definitely make us feel good about next season. So I don't know, man. I don't know. This season is clearly a wash. I've been telling you guys that for weeks, so this ain't new. But it is what it is, man. I'm hopeful the Lakers don't give away that 2027 pick, especially in a deal for no Josh Richardson. That would be a death blow to our franchise. And yeah, that's what I got, man. Just like I told one of my hater friends, she's a Cleveland Cavalier fan. I was posting on there how the Lakers was doing. She was like, "Oh, y'all lost. You losing to the Bucks? The Bucks that lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers?" I'm like, you know what? I don't even have the will to fight you, and that's exactly how I feel. Like, I don't even have the will to debate with haters or none of that. I'm just, you got it, man. We're as bad as you say we are. Enjoy your time with that. So that's what it is, man. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.